at the podium is head coach Travis Steele. We'll open with a comment.
Well, I thought the game today, we fought some adversity early on. Obviously, Zach got in some foul trouble, picked up a technical there in the first half. I don't know why he got the technical, but he did. And we didn't have him for the rest of the first half. So he had 3 fouls. And, we needed other guys to step up. And I thought guys responded as the game wore on. We had to scrap our whole offense. Quite honestly, we played a lineup we've never played in practice, never worked with. We just went 4 guards and tried to spread the floor. I thought our guys made the good adjustment of just trying to space it out, try to open up the paint for drives, try to put a lot of pressure on the rim. And I thought our guys did a great job. The effort was there. Like the thing that I wanted to see from our team kind of heading into these 3 games, I wanted to see how we responded to adversity. I wanted to see where our toughness level was, because I didn't know. You never really know until you are able to play somebody else. And obviously, there's a lot of things that we got to get better at. But it's also early. And, I think, but I was proud of our leadership that I saw from Paul, from Jason in the huddles when things were not going well today, and against Bradley. We had good leadership. I could hear their voice. They were calm. They were direct. They were positive. And that's going to really bode well for us moving forward. The good thing about these 3 games, obviously, you got to learn from. It's better to learn from a win than a loss, and we got a lot to learn from, especially on the defensive and offensive ends. But I'm proud of our group to find a way to win. We've been a little bit shorthanded. We're not going to use that as an excuse, but it is a big adjustment within our team. So proud that our guys were able to make that adjustment on the fly and here moving forward.
First question from John Fanta.
Travis, congrats on the win. Good to see you. Kiki just said that he felt like he was stagnant in the first couple games of the season, and he said, talking with you and your staff, he was told be aggressive, and that's the mindset he took today. What can you tell us about just your exchange with him and what you saw from him today?
Yeah, John, he hit 6 threes in the game against Oakland. I believe he was 6 of 10 from 3. Didn't do a whole lot off the bounce, per se, scoring, but he made guys better. And then I thought and I told him this against Bradley, I didn't think the effort was there. I was disappointed with his motor, and I thought it hurt our team. And I told him last night after the game, because it goes, when you go game, 3 games in 3 days, you gotta be able to make adjustments and control your emotions pretty dang quickly, because again, it's next game up, right? We're at noon. I told him, I said, hey, flush the Bradley game out. It's done. It's over with. We need you. Our team needs you. And he could be a really good player, and that shows, man. He has a burst. He can live in the paint. He can obviously really shoot the ball. I thought his defense was better today. We need him to be that for us. He's got to be aggressive on that offensive end, and I think he could be one of the more explosive guards in our league.
Next question from Adam Baum.
Travis, you mentioned that lineup that you went with that you guys haven't really practiced. Was that just a product of getting into foul trouble, or did you feel like maybe that was the lineup that might give you the best chance to win?
I would say a little bit of both, Adam. Obviously Zach was strapped to 3 fouls. I thought we were struggling guarding them. They run some really good stuff. Coach Kowalczyk is a terrific coach at Toledo. He's known as an offensive coach. They run some of the best stuff in the entire country offensively. And they were hard to guard. I thought they were really exposing us when we were big. So I thought that would help us defensively, but then I also thought offensively it could open up the floor a little bit more for our guards to really try to attack. I thought we could get into the paint and try to expose that rather than playing east and west. I wanted our guys to start playing more north and south, and I thought we were much, much, much better at it. We've never practiced that, ever, but again, sometimes you got to make adjustments on the fly, and was proud of our group for being able to make that adjustment during the game.
Is there something that you noticed these last 2 days why, I think that the competition increased with Bradley and Toledo, but offensively, you guys have looked a little bit differently and I'm sure that that's partly just an early season thing, but is there anything you noticed from your offense these last 2 days?
I think our guys, Adam, just got to continue to make the right plays, right? And I think when you drive the ball, I always equate it to it's like third grade basketball, right? Winston's in second grade. That's what I tell him all the time when he plays. It's like when you drive the ball and you get two guys on you, you drop it off or you kick it out. It's that simple. It's no more complicated than that. That's basketball. Good players need space, right? You want great players crave space on the floor, and then you just do what the game tells you to do. And I think when we adhere to that, then we get the shots that we want. Right now, obviously today we were in a lot of foul trouble. We played a lineup that we've never played before for dang near the whole second half and a lot of the first half as well. But we just had to figure it out. Again, I think. We'll get better on the offensive end. Losing, and again, I don't want to ever make excuses. I'm not making excuses, but when you lose a guy like Colby and CJ and Colby bring a lot of skill and a lot of IQ, a lot. And probably our two most skilled IQ guys, along with Adam Kunkel, who we're waiting on a waiver with. And when you take those guys out of the lineup, it looks a little different. But again, you got to find a way, right? You got to be able to make adjustments on the fly. Got to figure it out. And like I said, man, I was really proud of our guys. Dejuan and Kiki, I thought were really getting in the paint there in the second half and made some really nice plays for others. Again, we'll take a lot of the shots, even the ones that we missed at him. I know Zach had a couple wide open ones. He airballed one at the top of the key. Zach's a terrific shooter, and we'll take those shots every day of the week.
Next question from John Fanton.
Travis, you just talked about Dejuan creating for others. 8 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and what stands out as a freshman who's playing 32 minutes. Just what jumps off to you about the way that this kid is coming in and producing results?
He's getting thrown to the wolves, John. When you're playing against a guy like Marion Jackson, right, for Toledo, and I know maybe not all of America knows who he is, but he's a tremendous player. He's a senior. He's an all-conference player. That experience goes a long way. It goes a long way, and that Marion has. And, Dejuan had his hands full the last few days, and it's good for him. As he's got to learn. He's got to get better. He's doing a great job. He's making a lot of mistakes, but we're going to show film. We're going to get better at it. But I think, his overall command, like you said, Johnny, I think he had 6 assists. Is that what you said? 6 assists, 1 turnover. He had 5 rebounds, 8 points. He's just a winner. He plays to win. He plays hard. Like, you can feel Dejuan's presence out there on the floor, defensively and offensively. And I'm really excited about his future, but he's got to get a lot better, obviously.
Next question from Rick Rory.
Hey, Coach, based on your expectations coming in for Bryan Griffin, what has he given you so far through the first 3 games? Does that match what you were expecting or not so much?
Rick, yes and no. I think Bryan can really rebound the ball, and I think that showed for the first couple games. He's big, he's strong. He's big enough and strong enough to defend the low posts in our league, and he's big enough and strong enough to rebound for sure. And I think he can be a finisher. He's got to continue to learn our defensive system. Like, Toledo runs some really good stuff, and when you have basically no prep for Toledo, you better be really good in our defensive system, right? And he's not quite there yet, and he knows that, and he's working on it every day, watching film. But I do think he can be a physical presence for us around the rim, rebound the ball, and I think that really showed against Bradley and Oakland, like I said.
Next, Adam Bohm.
You talked about Dejuan, and the reality is, he's gaining valuable experience right now by being out there. And you talk about Colby and CJ, and they're kind of missing out on that right now. And, I'm curious, for those guys in quarantine, they're separated from the team right now. And how are you helping those guys through that and trying to keep them involved as much as possible so they're ready when they can return?
So, Adam, I think number one, it's what I told our team right after we played the first game against Oakland. I said, hey, fellas, make sure everybody in here should reach out, to Colby, CJ, and Spencer Cody, who's a walk-on, who's in quarantine as well. I said, fellas, because put yourself in their shoes. I mean, this isn't how they envisioned their start of their collegiate career, right? Being in quarantine. So I think, number one, keeping them just – and it's funny, like I talked to both those guys that night, and I've talked to them last night as well, and I'm going to talk to them again here in a little bit. But, they were just so excited about the win, right? And it just shows you the character that they have. They're not thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the team. But also, just talking about the game. Like we're going to show them film as well. They're going to see all the stuff that our team that's seeing right now, the guys that were just playing, they're going to see the same edits. That way they can continue to grow in our defensive system, offensive system, and whatnot. Because, like you said, they don't necessarily get the game reps right now, but they can get some mental and visual reps. And I think that's really important moving forward.
Next, John Fanta.
Travis, I don't mean to look back much at all, but I just remember you saying several times last year, we have to handle adversity better, or we have to punch back in a better form. Just how encouraging is it in the first 3 days of the season, after such a weird offseason and wacky offseason, that you see some of those guys take that next step and say, okay, when we face some adversity, not an atmosphere here, not a home crowd, we handled it, found a way.
Yeah, really proud. I think it speaks to the leadership of our team, of our older guys, right? Of Jason Carter, Paul Scruggs, Zach Fremantle, our captains, and like I said, the huddles have a really good feel to them. John, we break down the game into 4-minute wars, right? And there's 10 4-minute wars because there's a media timeout at every under 16, under 12, under 8. And it's like I tell those guys every time before every game. This is how we practice. The score is 0-0. I don't care what the scoreboard says. We erase that from our head. Do we win that last war or not? Okay? Where are we at kills-wise? And you can tell our guys, like the older guys, are saying the right things because they'll ask. Paul will ask before I can even get it out, Coach, where are we at kill-wise, before I even can say a word. And so you could tell the leadership is there from those guys. And that's going to serve us really well moving forward because this whole COVID-19 thing, there's going to be constant adversity, right? Constant. And it's about how you deal with it, and you got to be able to adjust on the fly. And I love that we've been able to face some against Toledo and Bradley and Oakland, and I think that's only going to help us moving forward and grow as a team.
Next up, Nate.
Hey, Travis. Just want to talk about Paul Scruggs' performance. I felt like that was his best game of this early season. 15 points, 7 assists, and 6 boards. But I thought his defense, he had 4 steals. His length and his physicality on defense really stood out. Just talk about what you kind of need from your senior point guard or shooting guard this year.
Yeah, Paul's an all-conference level guy, and we need him to impact the game in every single area, whether that's on the glass, whether that's defensively. And I've talked about, like, hey, listen, Tyreek was an elite rebounder for us last year. I told Paul this year, I said, man, you got to help us get on that glass. We got to do it by committee. Same thing defensively. You look at losing a guy like Najee off last year's team. Najee was maybe the best defender I've ever been around. And I told Paul, like, he has to grow in our system. He's got to notch it up, and he's done that. He's been tremendous defensively. He has. And his defensive grading that we do every single game bears that out. But his ability to go 7 assists to 1 turnover, again, that's the growth that Paul's made this offseason, and we got to continue to see. That's critically important because if he can do that and make the right decisions, man, our team's got a chance to be really good. Obviously, Paul can score. He's a way better shooter than what he shot during the last 3 games. He made a 3 today. He was, 1 for 3 from 3. He's a career 37-38 guy from 3. He'll make shots. I don't worry about that with him. But I just love his ability to impact the game in multiple ways, just be our identity, that toughness, that competing that he brings to the table.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.